The truck driver eases onto the empty highway after midnight quietly. He feels calm, trusting routine muscle memory and long nights. The engine hums steady beneath him like a living companion. Headlights carve a narrow tunnel through fog and sleeping. No other vehicles appear, and the silence feels almost polite. He checks mirrors, gauges, and mirrors again out of habit. Coffee warmth fades while the night air slips into the cab. Thoughts drift to home and pay, and the miles ahead this road is familiar, yet tonight it feels slightly different. The darkness seems thicker, like it listens and waits nearby. He shrugs off the feeling and keeps a steady speed. Routine has carried him. Through storm, snow, and long weeks, he believes discipline beats fear and focus keeps danger away. The radio plays softly, then fades under rising static noise. He taps the dial, smiling at old songs half remembered. The highway bends gently, guiding the truck deeper into night. Trees line both sides, tall and still like silent witnesses. He notices the absence of stars behind heavy cloud cover. A faint unease settles in his chest without clear reason. He breathes slow, reminding himself this job demands patience. Always miles pass, measured by lines on asphalt and engine rhythm. The night feels stretched thin, as if time loosens here. He adjusts his seat and rolls his shoulders, staying loose. Nothing threatens him, yet anticipation hums beneath, calm, quiet, steady. The road ahead remains empty, inviting and unsettling together tonight. He thinks this haul will be like any other night. The cab smells of fuel, rubber, and old fabric warmth. Outside, the world narrows to light, shadow, and motion alone. He does not know the night has already noticed him. The journey continues, unaware of fear waiting ahead beyond road. The hours slip by without landmarks or traffic. The highway stretches forward like an endless ribbon. The driver feels the weight of isolation settle deeper. Silence grows louder then. Engine noise inside the cab. Each vibration feels sharper, each sound harder to ignore. He rolls down the window slightly to feel night air. Cold wind brushes his face, carrying the scent of damp earth. The trees blur together, forming dark walls on either side. He notices his eyes scanning the mirrors more often. Now nothing appears, yet the habit refuses to stop. The road signs seem farther apart than he remembers. Distance loses meaning, replaced by the steady pull forward. His coffee is gone, leaving only bitter aftertaste and fatigue. He flexes his fingers around the steering wheel, staying alert. A faint shape flickers at the edge of vision. He looks quickly but finds only shadows sliding past. The feeling of being watched creeps in. Uninvited, he laughs quietly, trying to shake off the tension. This stretch of road has never bothered him before. Yet tonight the darkness feels personal, almost curious. The radio crackles again, then falls silent once more. He tries another station, but hears only empty noise. The cab feels smaller, as if the walls inch closer. Breathing slows as he listens, harder than necessary. A distant sound echoes briefly, then disappears. It could be wind or wildlife, he tells himself. Still, his shoulders tighten, refusing to relax. The headlights reveal nothing beyond asphalt and fog. He reminds himself fear grows easily in lonely places. Long hauls play tricks on the mind, especially at night. He focuses on the road, counting mile markers silently. Each one passed feels like progress and relief. But relief fades quickly, replaced by quiet tension again. The night presses closer, as if testing his resolve. He keeps driving, knowing stopping would feel worse. Somewhere deep inside, a warning stirs. Without a voice, the driver notices movement again near the tree line. This time it feels closer, slower, more deliberate. His eyes lock onto the darkness, searching for definition. Headlights sweep across trunks, branches, and heavy shadows. Nothing steps fully into view, yet the feeling remains. His pulse quickens without his permission. He adjusts his grip on the wheel, knuckles tight. The cab hum now feels too loud, too present. He tells himself exhaustion sharpens imagination. Still, he leans forward. Scanning the road ahead, fog thickens without warning, blurring distance and shape. The white lines on the highway fade, then return. A shape crosses the beam for a brief second. Too tall to be an animal, too thin to be a sign. He blinks hard, forcing Focus on the asphalt. The shape is gone, leaving only open road. His breathing grows shallow and controlled. He reaches for the radio, then stops mid-motion. The silence feels safer than static now. A chill runs through him. Despite the warm cab, he glances at the rear-view mirror and freezes for a moment. It seems darker than it should be, as if something blocks the light behind him. He turns his head, checking the road with his own eyes. There is nothing, only fog and distance. His heart continues racing. Refusing logic, every instinct tells him to stay moving. The truck feels like shelter and prison together. The trees seem closer now, leaning inward. He swallows hard and keeps his speed steady. He does not slow, and he does not accelerate. The road curves gently, pulling him forward. He wonders if anyone else is awake out here. The thought brings no comfort. He has the sense of being singled out, as if the night chose him deliberately. He cannot explain the feeling, only feel it. Sweat forms at his temples despite the cold. The darkness ahead feels heavier than before. He realizes he is waiting for something to happen, and that waiting is worse than fear itself. The radio suddenly bursts into loud static without warning. The sound fills the cab, sharp and aggressive. He flinches, instinctively reaching for the volume knob. Before he can adjust it, the noise cuts off completely. Silence rushes back, thicker than before. He stares at the dark radio face, expecting it to return. It does not respond to touch or tuning. He taps it once, then leaves it alone. The loss of sound makes the engine feel exposed. Every mechanical click and rattle becomes amplified. The truck no longer feels steady, it feels watched. He clears his throat, trying to ground himself. His own voice sounds strange inside the cab. The headlights seem dimmer, though he knows they are not. Fog presses closer, swallowing the edges of the road. He leans forward, squinting into the narrow beam. The trees no longer blur. They seem to stand still. Time stretches thin, slowing each second. He checks the clock and frowns. It shows the same minute as before. He blinks and looks again. The numbers have not changed. A wave of unease settles deep in his stomach. He tells himself, clocks malfunction all the time. Still, the sense of wrongness grows. The road feels unfamiliar, though he has driven it often. He watches for signs, mile markers, anything recognizable. None appear, only fog and endless asphalt. The mirrors show nothing behind him, yet he feels pressure at his back, like eyes fixed on the truck. His breathing becomes careful and controlled. He focuses on staying calm, staying rational. Panic would make mistakes, and mistakes kill. The cab feels smaller, the air heavier. He rolls his shoulders, loosening tension. The truck continues forward, unbothered by fear. But inside him something has shifted. The night no longer feels empty. It feels occupied and patient, waiting for him to notice, waiting for him to understand. He keeps driving because stopping feels impossible. Whatever is happening, he feels, it has already begun far ahead. A dark shape suddenly appears in the middle of the highway. At first he thinks it is a fallen tree or a piece of debris. The headlights cut through the fog but reveal nothing solid. His heart hammers as he slows instinctively. The shape seems to shimmer as if it breathes with the night. He squints, leaning forward, trying to make sense of it. It is not moving, yet the air around it feels charged. A chill runs through him that has nothing to do with the cold. Every instinct screams to stop the truck or turn around. His hands tighten on the wheel, trembling slightly. He debates whether he imagined it, and then it shifts just a fraction, but enough to make his stomach drop. The shadow seems humanoid, but stretched unnaturally. He forces his eyes to focus on the asphalt around it. Nothing solid interrupts the lane, except the faint fog, yet his brain insists it is there waiting, testing him. He takes a deep breath, trying to calm himself. Every nerve is alert, every sense sharpened. He keeps the truck moving slowly forward. The shape seems to respond, almost like it senses his approach. The road bends slightly, and the shadow remains perfectly in the same place. The tires hum over asphalt as if the truck itself hesitates. He imagines swerving, but fear grips him tighter than logic. His mind races with impossible scenarios, rational ones alike. The dark figure does not Blink does not shift, just waits silently. The headlights throw no reflection, no clue to what it is. He wonders if stopping would make it move or disappear. The fog twists around the shape, giving it depth and menace. He forces himself to focus on the highway lines to stay steady. Every second stretches longer than the last. The shadow seems to pulse with the night around it. He drives past slowly, heart pounding, eyes wide. And when he looks back in the rearview mirror, nothing remains there but the fog and his own reflection staring back. The shadow disappears as quickly as it appeared, leaving only empty road ahead, but the relief is shallow and fleeting. Every mile now feels heavier, as if the night itself weighs on the truck. The driver keeps his eyes forward, every muscle tense. Fog continues to swirl around the cab, headlights barely cutting through it. Every curve of the highway seems longer than it should be. He swallows hard, feeling sweat on his upper lip despite the cold. The radio remains dead, refusing to return to life. He glances at the rearview mirror, repeatedly fearing movement he cannot see. The trees seem closer now, pressing inward like silent watchers. His mind races, imagining shapes in every dark space. Each sound of the engine and tires is amplified beyond reason. The hum of the brakes, the click of the gear shift, even the thrum of the engine seems sharper. He wonders if exhaustion is warping reality, or if the shadow was real. The road stretches endlessly, but the familiar mile markers do not appear. Every sign is swallowed by fog, leaving him disoriented and cautious. He thinks of turning back, but instinct tells him that turning is impossible. It would only slow him, and whatever waits in the darkness will find him. A distant sound echoes from the roadside, making him flinch. It could be a deer or a falling branch, but he knows it is neither. The cab feels smaller than ever, and the night tighter. The weight of isolation presses on his shoulders and chest. Every second drags with unbearable tension. He grips the wheel tighter, trying to stay calm, trying to stay alive. The highway bends slightly, and he notices the darkness ahead seems to shift. Shadows gather in shapes that flicker at the edge of vision. He knows they are not illusions. Because fear has no color or shape, the night is patient, waiting, testing him. He drives forward slowly, knowing the shadow may return, and he hopes he can face it when it does. The road begins to feel unfamiliar, as if he has entered a place that exists only at night. The familiar signs and mile markers are gone, swallowed by fog and darkness. Trees lean closer on both sides, forming a tunnel of black that swallows the headlights. Every bend of the highway feels wrong, tighter, narrower, more threatening. His stomach knots and a shiver runs down his spine. He checks the mirrors and sees only endless darkness behind him. No lights, no vehicles, no movement at all. The cab feels like a fragile cage holding him against the vast unknown. Every instinct urges him to turn back, but the road stretches endlessly ahead. He forces himself to focus on the asphalt, the lines, and the hum of the engine. Hours seem to collapse into minutes, and minutes stretch into eternity. The silence presses in, making every sound inside the cab unbearable. A distant snapping of branches somewhere off the road makes him flinch. He looks quickly and sees nothing. A shadow flickers at the corner of his vision and disappears. His pulse races, his hands tremble, but he forces himself to drive on. The fog seems alive, shifting around the truck like a living creature. Each mile feels heavier than the last, as if the road itself resists his passage. He wonders if he has been driving in circles, though he does not remember. Turning, the air feels thick, sticky, like it holds something waiting to be revealed. The familiar rhythm of highway driving is gone, replaced by anticipation and dread. He fights panic, focusing on the wheel on the road ahead. Every heartbeat echoes in his ears like a warning drum. The highway bends sharply, and he slows instinctively. His eyes scan every shadow, every curve, every tree. Nothing moves, yet everything feels poised to strike. He realizes he no longer knows which direction is safe. Every instinct screams danger, but the road demands he continue. He drives forward into the uncertainty, into the night that has claimed him. Entirely suddenly, the truck shudders and loses power, rolling forward without the steady hum of the engine. The headlights dim and flicker, leaving the cab in near darkness. He slams the wheel, trying to keep control, as the truck slows to a stop in the middle of the highway. The silence that follows is heavier than anything he has felt before. No wind, no rustling leaves, no distant sound, only an oppressive stillness. He sits, frozen hands gripping the wheel, unable to move. Every shadow outside seems to stretch closer to the cab. The fog swirls thick around the tires, hiding the lines of the highway. A faint sound echoes from the roadside, faint at first, then louder. It is not wind, it is not animal, it is something else. His pulse races, his chest tightens as he strains to listen. Something shifts in the darkness to his left, moving just out of reach of the headlights. The cab feels smaller, his seat harder, his breath louder. He wants to scream, but no sound comes from his mouth. The air is cold, sticky, and full of tension. He tries the ignition again. Nothing happens, only the faint click of a dead engine. Outside, the road bends into more fog, as if the night itself is reshaping. Every instinct screams to leave the cab, yet he knows stepping outside is impossible. The dark presence waits, patient, silent, just beyond the light. He leans back, slowly breathing shallow, trying to calm himself. Every mile marker imagined, every familiar sign vanished. The fog swirls around shapes that disappear when looked at directly. Time stretches impossibly, and he counts each heartbeat as if it were a mile. The night presses closer, shadows crawl along the edge of vision. The cab is a fragile island surrounded by suffocating darkness. He knows he is alone, but not alone. Something is here with him, watching, waiting, and he has no idea if he will ever leave this stretch of highway alive. By first light, the truck sits motionless in the middle of the empty highway. The fog has lifted, leaving only pale gray morning light and the scent of wet asphalt. The driver leans forward in the cab, staring blankly at the road ahead. Exhaustion and fear weigh heavy on him, making every movement slow. He cannot remember how long he has been there or how he survived the night. The engine is silent, the truck still warm beneath him. No trace of the shadow, no sign of movement, no explanation for what he felt. He rubs his face, trying to wash away the memory, but it lingers, sharper than reality. The highway stretches endlessly in both directions, quiet, empty, unchanged. He finally steps out of the cab, legs trembling. Under him, every sound of morning birds, distant traffic seems surreal after hours of oppressive darkness. He looks around, searching for clues, anything that would explain the terror. Nothing exists but trees, fog remnants, and the long, empty asphalt. He feels watched even in daylight, as if the night has left a residue on the world. A distant car approaches, its headlights growing brighter, and relief surges briefly. The driver waves shakily, trying to signal help. By the time the car reaches him, he is shaking, unable to speak coherently. The driver of the other vehicle stares puzzled at the abandoned truck and the man inside. He finally climbs back into the cab, trying to focus on simple breathing. Memories of shadows, shapes, and sounds swirl together like a nightmare. He knows he will never drive this highway again. The night has claimed a piece of him, something intangible, permanent. He starts the engine slowly and pulls onto the road. Still alert, still tense. Every movement measured, every mile calculated. Though daylight surrounds him, the fear remains deep in his chest. He glances at the rearview mirror once more, but sees only empty highway stretching behind. The night is gone, but the terror is not. It rides with him silently, waiting for a time when darkness returns.